All right, gather around. Sit down. No, actually, sit down. Don't just perch on the edge of your chair like you're about to leave. You're not leaving. We're doing this. Bitcoin. You've heard the word approximately 10,000 times. It's been on the news, in your family group chat, screamed at you by ads featuring Lambo-driving influencers with suspiciously perfect teeth. Your uncle brought it up at dinner. Your coworker won't shut up about it. Some random guy at a party told you it was the future of finance, and then immediately asked to borrow bus fare. And yet, here you are, still not actually knowing what it is. After all this time, I'm not mad. I'm just deeply, profoundly disappointed. But that ends today. Because by the time this video is over, you're going to understand Bitcoin, what it is, why it was created, how it works, and why it became the financial phenomenon that broke the internet, broke people's portfolios, and somehow, against all odds, broke into the mainstream. Let's go. To understand Bitcoin, you need to go back to 2008. The world's financial system was collapsing. Banks, the big, trustworthy, too-big-to-fail banks, had spent years gambling with people's money on garbage mortgage products they didn't understand. And when it all blew up, the government bailed them out. With taxpayer money, with your money, people lost homes, lost jobs, lost savings, and the bankers got bonuses. It was, to use the precise economic term, a complete and total dumpster fire. And somewhere in that chaos, a mysterious person, or group of people nobody actually knows, writing under the name Satoshi Nakamoto, published a 9-page document, a white paper, titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. 9 pages, that's it. Shorter than most college essays, and it described a system for sending money directly from one person to another, anywhere in the world, with no bank, no government, no middleman of any kind required. The whole thing basically said, what if we just didn't need banks? And then it built it, and then Satoshi disappeared. Just vanished. Never revealed their identity. Owns about 1 million Bitcoin and has never moved a single coin. To this day, nobody knows who Satoshi is. It's the greatest mystery in modern finance. Some people think it's a single genius. Some think it's a team. Some think it's a government project. One guy once claimed it was him, held a press conference, and then couldn't prove it. Incredibly embarrassing for everyone involved. Okay, fundamentals. Pay attention because I will not be repeating myself. Actually, I will. This is a scripted video, but emotionally, I won't be. Bitcoin is a digital currency that exists entirely on a decentralized network called the blockchain. We did a whole video on blockchain. Link in the description. Go watch it. Don't make me explain it again. I'm exhausted. But here's the short version. Instead of a bank keeping one master record of who owns what, Bitcoin's record is kept on thousands of computers worldwide simultaneously. Everyone has a copy. No single person controls it. When you send Bitcoin to someone, the transaction is broadcast to this entire network. Thousands of computers verify, does this person actually have the Bitcoin they're claiming to send? If yes, it gets added to the permanent record. If no, it gets rejected. Simple, clean, ruthlessly efficient. Nobody can fake a transaction. Nobody can reverse a transaction once it's confirmed. Nobody can freeze your account. There's no phone number to call, no manager to speak to, no pending review email that sits in your inbox for 5 business days while your money disappears into a corporate void. It's just math. Unforgiving, impartial, absolutely does not care about your situation math. And honestly, after watching banks behave for the past few decades, a lot of people found that refreshing. Now here's the part that makes Bitcoin genuinely different from every government currency that's ever existed. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. That's it. That number is written into the code. It cannot be changed. No central bank can wake up one morning and decide to print more Bitcoin because the economy feels a bit sad. The supply is fixed, forever. There are basically 3 ways to get Bitcoin, and I'm going to rank them by how much chaos they involve. Option 1, buy it. Use an exchange, Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, whatever's available in your country. Hand over regular money, receive Bitcoin. Straightforward. This is what most people do. This is the normal one. Option 2, receive it. Someone sends you Bitcoin directly, wallet to wallet. Maybe you sold something, maybe someone's paying you, maybe your friend finally paid you back for that concert ticket from 2019 in Bitcoin form, and you're not sure how to feel about it. Option 3, mine it. And this is where we need to have a serious talk. Bitcoin mining is the process by which new transactions get verified and added to the blockchain, and new Bitcoin gets created as a reward. It sounds exciting. It sounds like you could just set up your computer, let it run overnight, and wake up rich. It is not that. It is absolutely not that. Please, for the love of all that is holy, do not Google Bitcoin mining setup at 2 a.m. and spend $4,000 on equipment based on a YouTube video made in 2017. Mining today requires specialized hardware called ASICs, application-specific integrated circuits, that cost thousands of dollars, consume enormous amounts of electricity, generate the heat of a small sun, and are competing against massive industrial mining operations with warehouses full of machines. The average person mining Bitcoin at home in 2024 is like showing up to the Olympics with a bike you bought at a garage sale. Bless your heart, go home. Here's something most beginners don't know about, and it's genuinely fascinating, so I need you to perk up. Bitcoin has a mechanism called the halving. Every 210,000 blocks, which works out to roughly every 4 years, the reward that miners get for adding a new block to the blockchain gets cut in half. When Bitcoin launched in 2009, miners got 50 Bitcoin per block. Then it halved to 25, then 12.5, then 6.25. As of 2024, it's 3.125 Bitcoin per block. Why does this matter? Because it controls the rate at which new Bitcoin enters circulation. As the reward shrinks, new supply slows down. And historically, this is not financial advice. Do not email me. The halving has preceded some of Bitcoin's most dramatic price increases. The logic is straightforward. Less new supply coming in, same or growing demand equals price goes up. It's economics 101, which I know sounds too simple to be true, and you're right to be skeptical, which is why you should do your own research instead of taking economic lessons from someone who just called a financial crisis a dumpster fire. The halving will keep happening until around the year 2140, when the last Bitcoin is mined and the total supply hits that 21 million cap. After that, miners will only earn transaction fees. What happens then? Nobody fully knows. That's future humanity's problem. We've got enough going on. Here's the thing people miss when they try to explain Bitcoin's rise. It wasn't just a tech story, it was a trust story. For decades, people have been slowly, quietly losing faith in financial institutions. Banks crash and get bailed out. Inflation silently eats your savings. Governments freeze accounts. Payment processors block transactions they don't like. In countries with unstable currencies, people have watched their life savings evaporate overnight because some politician made a bad call. Bitcoin offered something radical. A financial system where the rules are the rules. They're public. They apply to everyone equally, and nobody, not a government, not a bank, not a tech company, can change them unilaterally. Is it perfect? God, no. It's slow. Transaction fees can get expensive during busy periods. It's wildly volatile. We'll get to that in a second. It's been used for illegal activity, which critics love to bring up, and which conveniently ignores the fact that cash has been used for illegal activity since the invention of crime. But for millions of people around the world, especially those in countries with broken financial systems, those who've been excluded from traditional banking, those who just fundamentally don't trust institutions, Bitcoin represented something genuinely new. It's not just number go up, it's what if money worked differently? And that question, whether you love Bitcoin or hate it, is worth taking seriously. All right, I've been nice for several minutes. Time to stop. Bitcoin's price history looks like a heart monitor for someone who just drank 17 espressos. It went from basically nothing to $20,000 in 2017, then crashed to $3,000, climbed to $69,000 in 2021, then cratered to $16,000, then climbed back toward $100,000 in 2024. If you bought at the peak of any of those cycles without understanding what you were holding, you panicked and sold at the bottom, and you lost real money. Real money that paid real bills and bought real groceries. And I cannot stress this enough. If your entire investment strategy is buy when excited, sell when terrified, you are not an investor. You are a participant in a very expensive slot machine. Stop it. Bitcoin rewards people who understand it, have conviction in it, and, this is the boring part nobody wants to hear, can afford to leave it alone for years. It punishes people who treat it like a get-rich-quick scheme, because it is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It has made people rich quickly. It has also made people broke quickly. Both things are true simultaneously. Do your research. Only invest what you can genuinely afford to lose. And if someone on the internet, including me, is telling you a specific price target with total confidence, run. Run fast. Okay, let's land this plane. Bitcoin is the world's first decentralized digital currency, created anonymously in 2008, built on a blockchain, capped at 21 million coins, maintained by a global network of computers that nobody owns and nobody controls. Designed specifically to remove the need for banks and governments as financial middlemen. It's not magic, it's not a scam, it's not going to zero, and it's also not going to make you a millionaire by Thursday. It is a genuinely novel technology and financial instrument that is still evolving, still being adopted, still being regulated, and still, 15 years in, debated by some of the smartest and most confidently wrong people on Earth. You now understand it better than most, genuinely. Most people arguing about Bitcoin online understand it less than you do after watching this video. Let that sink in. Go forth, be curious, ask hard questions. And if your uncle starts talking about Bitcoin at the next family dinner, now you can actually talk back. You're welcome. Hit like, subscribe. Share this with someone who needs it. And you absolutely know someone who needs it. See you in the next one. Stay skeptical. Back up your keys.